Tell us about where we're at right now and the relation to what happened.
Yeah. So look, you're here in the gardens at the governor's residence, and you know, if you look back here, there's now a brick wall there that's obviously still under construction. But if you can imagine what used to be there was about a 6-foot high fence. That's where he climbed over with relative ease. And he sort of hid back here in what used to be a pretty wooded area. It's obviously gotten beat up with all the construction. After one of the troopers who realized that there was a breach of the fence came to try to find him and missed him, you know, he walked this way, fairly, in a sort of chilling way, pretty deliberately and slowly. And he went inside this sort of brick gazebo here. And if you look in that back corner, there's like a little, you know, bench or a little, you know, cement thing here. He sort of hid right back here for a little bit. And at that moment, the state police had missed him, knew that someone had breached the grounds but wasn't able to find him. And again, we've made a lot of security changes so that something like that couldn't happen again. After he was done lying in wait here, carrying a metal hammer and a bag of, like a satchel of Molotov cocktails, then he came out here and walked along the path here where you and I had been sitting just a moment ago.
When you watched the videos, was it kind of chilling to see what occurred there?
Yeah.
Would you walk this path every day?
As I was saying to you before, I mean, I walk out here a lot. I'm on the phone, making calls, walk with other people, find it very therapeutic to walk. And to know that this is where he was, really scary. So he walked right up here and to this window. And you'll remember when you were here that next morning, this whole area was burnt out. And what he did was he took this metal hammer and smashed this window here and threw a Molotov cocktail inside. That ignited a massive fire and in effect destroyed this room. He then started walking down here, past these double doors to this next window. And this is the window that he smashed and climbed through, wielding this metal hammer that he admitted he was going to use to kill me if he found me, and carrying some more Molotov cocktails in his bag, which is basically just a homemade explosive.
When you talk about watching that video and again knowing what happened, knowing that somebody got inside the residence, right through a window, what was going through your mind when you learned exactly how this played out?
You know, past the emotional feeling, past the feeling of, as a dad, knowing that your kid was at risk, your kids were at risk, you know, I mean, it was a complete security failure. I have faith in the state police that they've learned from this, that these issues can't happen again, given all the different security investments that are being made here to protect us and the family and staff. But it was obviously a total failure. And you know, a lot of people's lives were at risk because of it.
It's pretty remarkable being in here right now and knowing what happened in here, seeing it in the hours after the attack occurred. For you, is it shocking almost to see that you're going to have a state dinner in here, you know, knowing what happened here so long ago?
You know, we have been so focused on getting this rebuilt and being able to welcome people back for this state dinner. It is so important for us to be able to honor and recognize these 10 Pennsylvanians who have done extraordinary work in their communities. And so we've been really purposeful about getting to this day, and I'm glad you could be here. As we're getting it ready, you can see they're still setting up. But I will tell you that from the moment after, you know, the crime scene in effect was released, there were crews working here 24/7. I want you to imagine the ceilings were gone, the floors were gone. If you looked at these walls, you would have seen the brick from outside. Windows were obviously smashed out. The chandeliers had melted away. There was nothing in here that that was really salvageable. We had to rebuild everything. And they did an amazing job getting the floors, ceiling, walls done. And it was really important to Lori that it go back to exactly the way it was. Same wallpaper. Obviously the art was destroyed, so this is different art. But everything was made to be exactly like it was prior to the attack.
I don't know if you wanted to keep.
Sure.
Yep. Okay.
So, you guys good?
Yep.
So look, he climbed through here, wielding that hammer with the Molotov cocktail, and from what we could tell from the video, he came this way. And remember that this room here was on fire, because that first window he smashed was over there, and Molotov cocktail had exploded. I would also note, we sleep upstairs, and so we were not far away from this. So smoke started to build up, fire started to build up, and he charged this way into the residence here. And as he charged this way, I don't know if it was from the smoke, or obviously he didn't know where he was going, but he tried to open those doors right there. Now those doors lead outside. I think he probably didn't know where ultimately they led to. And then with his hammer, and his foot, he tried to get through those two doors there. They had been locked less than 10 minutes prior to him trying to access them. And those two doors lead to where we work and where we live. So he was literally those two double doors away. Once he couldn't get through there, then he came back this way, back into the state dining room. And you could see from the video, and also just his logic would dictate, this room had filled up with smoke and was really, I would imagine, quite hard to navigate your way through. I'll show you over here. This is what the room looked like
On the day.
after he did what he did. And we saved this. This is a tea set, China tea set, that was sitting kind of on one of the tables here in the middle of the room. I thought it was important to be here, not to reflect on a dark moment, but to be able to have people come in this beautiful hall and see that we didn't let that destruction define us, that the workers got to work immediately and said we weren't going to let that crime define us, that we weren't going to let that darkness define us. And
that's important to show that kind of resiliency in the face of hate.
Absolutely. We cannot let hate win. You know who I learned that from? The amazing community in Pittsburgh after Tree of Life, which anniversary is today. This was a community that immediately started saying we're stronger than hate. They would not be defined by the most significant act of anti-Semitism in our nation's history in Pittsburgh. And I learned a lot from them. I learned about resilience, I learned about strength, and I learned about not succumbing to the hate.
Being in here, having you walk us through what occurred, did you ever think that somebody would not only be able to get through the window, but as far as he did, that double door prevented him from getting to where you and so many others were? Yeah.
No, it was unimaginable. And look, as I've said, as Colonel Paris has said, it was a failure. But we've learned from it, and we'll be stronger for it, and this place will be a whole lot more secure because of it. You can roll for this if you want, but my family and I went down a private back stairwell out to safety, down a hallway there. And after they were all secure and the fire had been put out, we were going to take everyone to a safer place. We obviously couldn't come back in here. And before I left, the chief from Harrisburg Fire brought me in here. I remember as I was walking down the hallway in the house, you couldn't see your hand in front of you. The smoke was so thick, it was just burning your nose, your eyes. And when I stepped through, those doors were open at that point, stepped into here, you know, your feet were sloshing in the water. And I stepped in, it was dark, obviously, so the only thing that was illuminating the area was flashlights. You could hear the water dripping. And obviously I'm no expert, but I had assumed up until that moment when I came back in here, whatever it was, about 2, 3 in the morning, that it was an accident, that something caught fire in the kitchen or something like that, a faulty wire. And then when I walked in this room and saw what it looked like, again, not an expert, but I realized, oh, okay, I don't think this was an accident. And then sure enough, a few minutes later, I was informed it was an attack, and it was very purposeful. But I'll never forget walking in here that night, and just kind of hearing my feet slosh through the water and seeing the firefighters standing there, having just put out this fire and realizing this was not just some accident.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're talking about finding light.
Yeah. Following
events like this and other things that have happened. For you, having just walked us through this, is that how you look for, I don't want to say positivity after something like this, but you do try to find the moments after something like this where others have shown love or hope for you, your family members. Even after all this, are you able to find light?
Yeah. In some ways, I see it more now than even before. I mean, Tom, the kindness of people, the prayers that people shared with us. I mean, I'm a prayerful person, I'm a spiritual person. But I never had folks praying for us before, particularly people from different faiths praying for us. And I remember we didn't sleep kind of that night. The next night when we finally could catch our breath and Laura and I were about to fall asleep, and she said, I feel people's prayers. Like, what do you mean? She's like, I literally feel strengthened by the prayers of others. And, that experience where others are offering you strength allowed us to see the light, allowed us to sort of push away the darkness and begin that healing process. And I've carried that with me to this day, wherever I am. I'm always out and about in the community, finding the light, finding the goodness that's happening. It's one of the reasons why we're having this dinner tonight, to honor 10 people that bring the light here to our communities. And it is a beautiful thing when you have the capacity to see that light, because ultimately it makes you a better person, a more spiritual person, and it certainly has connected me closer to my own faith.
I think we're all glad that you are okay, your family's okay, and we're glad that, after everything that's happened, you're able to find some positivity and, as you continue to process things. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.